Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is the Science Dispatch podcast. My name is Cameron English. That is Dr. Chuck Dinnerstein, Director of Medicine at the American Council on Science and Health, surgeon and all-around smart guy, well-read, could tell you about all sorts of topics because he's probably read a book about it. Chuck, what's going on?
Not a thing. Oh, it's probably time to mention the family motto, often wrong, never in doubt.
It's a good way to live life. Confident and ignorant. That's how.
What was there? Was another line? Well, it'll come to me. No, never mind.
Yeah, you'll think about it at midnight as you're trying to drift off to sleep.
I have it now. What's the difference between ignorance and apathy?
I don't know, doctor.
I don't know, and I don't care.
Really good stuff. If you get nothing out of this podcast, you just got two stupid, terse jokes that you can apply liberally throughout your life. Okay. So we've got an article from our colleague, Dr. Josh Bloom, who's the Director of Chemical and Pharmaceutical Sciences at ACSH. And this is the greatest hits. Now, this is what I call junk science, to make a reference that most people probably won't appreciate. Dr. Dinnerstein, I don't know what it is, but apple cider vinegar is just one of the staples of the alt health movement, and it doesn't seem to go away. I don't get it. But anyways, here's the introduction from Dr. Bloom, and then fill in some of the details for us. So Josh writes, a recent British medical journal paper claiming health benefits of apple cider vinegar was retracted. Hardly shocking, given the long history of hype over evidence. While it's clear apple cider vinegar doesn't do much good, the real question is whether it can actually cause harm. Let's break down what the science and a little chemistry says. Okay, give us the backstory if you would, please.
Well, it's as I said in the pre-show production, it is a timely article. It is apple picking season out here on Long Island, and everybody is jamming the highways to get apples. So presumably some of them go on to become apple cider. So apple cider has been around for a long time, and I think that has a lot to do with why it's a perennial wellness favorite, is that it has deep historical roots. In any instance, what Josh was interested in was the role of apple cider vinegar in treating people with acid reflux. So probably we should take a moment to talk about that. So acid reflux occurs when the gastric juices, which have a very low pH, a pH of 1, which help them break down the food we eat, reflux or go back up into the esophagus. Now the stomach has cells with a mucus coating that protects it from the acid, but the esophagus does not. So when the acid refluxes past a little muscular sphincter that separates the stomach from the esophagus, and it gets into the esophagus, this causes those traditional symptoms that we associate with heartburn, that acidy taste in your mouth, a little discomfort that goes along with it. And what Josh spent a lot of time talking about the science was how apple cider vinegar, which is acidic, could possibly reduce the acid content of the stomach. And he did that by comparing the pH of the stomach, which is approximately 1, to the pH of apple cider vinegar, which is pH of 2 to 3, and ultimately winds up saying that the science behind why apple cider vinegar may reduce reflux is because it dilutes the amount of gastric acid that's there. And so it's not so much that an acid makes for less acid, but a weaker acid dilutes the effect of a stronger one. Pretty exciting, huh?
It's really exciting. I guess what's more worth discussing here is why people think this is a good idea. So Josh brings up the example of a YouTube video where you can dissolve steel wool with apple cider vinegar. And his rhetorical question is, if it can dissolve steel wool, which you use to clean up difficult messes, then perhaps it's going to do something harmful to your stomach if you have acid reflux, or even something approximating it. I don't even know where, I know where someone would get the idea, but I don't know what thought process leads you to go, I'm suffering from stomach acid. What I should do is like double plus acid, like
because I think it really has its origins long ago as a home remedy. And if you really want to take us far afield, we could lay the blame on Walt Disney and Johnny Appleseed, which for many of us was our introduction to apples and one of the great entrepreneurs of the colonial era. So Johnny Appleseed actually was a real person, and he actually did plant apple groves at the edge of the frontier. But as it turns out, there was more chemistry and entrepreneurial spirit than what Disney let on with that character. So the first thing you need to know about apples is that the apples that we eat are pollinated. They're all pollinated, especially the apples that grow on trees by themselves that are not pollinated by other apple trees taste horrible. And so the colonial apples were not grown so that we could make apple pie. They were grown so you could make Applejack booze. So in one sense, Johnny Appleseed was a drug dealer, planting his crop of drug-releasing trees throughout the colonies. He also bought up the land in advance of the frontier. People came, they found the apple trees, and he would sell that land at a profit. But I think that it was that general time that the idea of using apples in many ways came to be, and that's where I think apple cider vinegar, which is a different product from those same gnarly apples, could be used as a home remedy for something like gastric discomfort. We applied the science or the pseudoscience to it 200 years later, but I think its origins lie in our distant past.
So I'm looking at the article that Josh linked to from Dr. Josh Axe, who is an alt health guru. And the section on apple cider vinegar links to a case report. And if you open the case report, it's in the Integrative Medicine, a Clinician's Journal, which sends up red flags anytime I see the word integrative or something along those lines.
It's an anecdote within a journal of diaries.
Correct. And the author has no affiliation, and the only contact is a private email address. It's actually a student email address from a university, which suggests to me that this is not even someone with clinical experience.
I suppose we're just lucky this was not picked up by a big organization and turned into a big study.
I guess. But so it's a single case of a 73-year-old woman with Parkinson's disease. So in other words, all of this advice that this guy, Dr. Axe, is giving to the general public, it's all based on a single case study.
Right. Nobody but you went back to follow the links back. That's one of the, everybody has these links in their articles now that we can do that on the internet. But very few people follow them back, because when you start to follow them back, you find amazing primary documents, much like what you just found. That it all goes back to a single anecdotal case that somebody very vaguely remembers. And we've seen this before. We've seen this with the discussion that Josh has had around morphine milligram equivalents. That goes back to some study in the 30s where the guy's reporting what his experience has been. And that's become the basis for a large body of, air quote, scientific work on milligram equivalents for opioids.
Yeah, so this woman, I'm just reading this. So this woman was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and I'll just read it. In this case, a 73-year-old female presented with 3 weeks of constipation and acid reflux after a recent diagnosis of Parkinson's. A contributing factor was anosmia, leading to vast dietary changes. So you have like wildly unique circumstances that are not going to apply to most people, right? So it sounds like, and you're the doctor here, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like maybe there are some dietary changes in order to, do some A/B testing before you start, drinking
before
tablespoons of apple cider vinegar.
Well, but on the causality basis, in terms of temporal things, it works very well. I was sick. I had the apple cider vinegar. I feel better. So there must be some relationship in there. I mean, common sense just tells you that that's the right answer. The problem becomes when that story is built upon by the next person, and then it becomes a study, and everybody links back to the original without having read it.
I find that this is not just me. A lot of people have found that this is a problem when the public gets their hands on medical information, because you have some symptom which your body is working to clear up in one way or another. And then you take something or you avoid something, and then it gets better, and you go, oh, the apricot seeds, or I don't know, I forget all the the ginseng root. It really worked for me, right? And in reality, it did nothing if you're lucky, and your immune system just cleared the infection or whatever. That's really what's going on.
Magical thinking is and it at a certain level, it makes great sense. Again, I was feeling bad. I swung the cat around my head 3 times, and I felt better.
Yeah, I'm psychoanalyzing.
By the way, that's the origin of a cat scan, by the way.
Pretty punny, doctor. So the author of this piece is someone named Rachel Link. She has a master's degree. She's a registered dietitian. So, not a stupid person, assuming those credentials are real. Josh Axe, I think he's a physician. I don't know if I can't even tell, But I guess what I'm getting at, these are not dumb people. And so I have a hard time believing that this is all, whoops, oh, I accidentally cited a case study in a fake journal by a college student. Like, those things don't happen, right? You only trip so many times before it's you deliberately doing it.
Well, this is probably one of those places where we're going to disagree, because we're getting into that. Believe me, I'm more nervous than you. That when it comes to intent, only the shadow knows what's in the hearts of men. There's no reason to believe that this is due to ill intent when incompetence would just as easily explain it. And I cannot tell you the number of times that I've seen a citation in peer-reviewed literature, and I've followed the citation back, and it says just the opposite of what they claim the citation shows, which means that they never read these things, or that they read them in passing, or that they had the student go run a search, and we'll load them into the paper to give it some weight. So I think that these people have a belief that cider vinegar is helpful, and they do a Google search that will confirm that for them, and they link to it. Nothing nefarious, just lazy.
Maybe, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it, right? I'm inclined.
Let me hear that one again. Whoa. Let me hear that one again. There was a lot of new words for me in there. A
lot of new words. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Now, you can all look that up, that bit of wisdom on your own. But I think what I'm getting at here is that I don't believe people deserve the benefit of the doubt when there's so many mistakes in a row, right? And maybe it is just ignorance. But and I'm not aiming this exclusively at the alt health gurus, right? Like people, even if it is ignorance, it's an inexcusable ignorance, right? Like if you're a registered dietitian and you're making these kind of mistakes, then
yes,
it's a willful ignorance. That's all I'm getting at. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess the moral of the story, and you be the one to make the claim. Maybe think twice before you take apple cider vinegar for stomach acid for certain, but for anything really.
Well, I'm sure it goes very well on a salad. And And sour is an important agent to balance a meal, but we don't have a great deal of evidence to show that it has any particular role in balancing your humors. How about that one?
Fair enough. And again, we end up where we always do, where we did last week, which was, I'm going to give you Chuck, I'm speaking for you. I'm going to give you my expert insight. Go do what you want. Have a nice day.
Very much like when I was in practice, except they would have to pay me. This is for free?
Well, look at that. Look at that. You guys are getting top grade medical advice, no charge. So once again, this article is called Apple Cider is Worthless, but It Can't Hurt, Right? That's a loaded question. The answer is it apparently can. By our colleague, Dr. Josh Bloom. That's at acsh.org. When you're there, click the subscribe tab, punch in your email address. We'll send you the stories that we publish. The ones you read are usually the ones we talk about. We are on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, X, ACSH Matter of Facts, hosted by our colleague Anna Delaski. Really informative videos that are about a minute long and really cool infographics. So if you want to be entertained and learn some science, go look up her work. Thank you so much as always, and we will see you next time.